Hello and welcome to the QA Underground. In part 5 of our Java Selenium series, we'll be going over how to add a test report generation at the end of our test run using extent reports. If you are not already a subscriber to our channel but enjoy the content, I'd encourage you to hit the subscribe button down below as we upload lots of testing related videos each week on a wide range of topics from integrating AI into testing to setting up automation frameworks in multiple languages. With that out of the way, let's get into what we'll be covering in today's video. In order to add test report generation to our framework, we need to do a few things. The first thing we need to do is add our extent reports dependency. Then we'll need to update our base class to be able to create the report and start the test report. Then update our base test to add our public statics for our extent tests and our extent reports, and update our failed method to return a screenshot path. Finally, we'll need to update our custom listener to add test.logs for our pass and fail, and update the fail to include the screenshot within the report. Alright, the first thing we need to do is add the extent reports dependency at the bottom of the POM. So right at the bottom of our dependencies, we will just add a new dependency. So we'll write dependency, let it autofill in there. For group ID, we'll use com.relevant codes, and then that will automatically grab the extent reports in the latest version. We'll reload our project to grab those dependencies. Next, we'll go over to our base class. So we'll open up base class. And at the top of our base class, we're going to add a new before class annotation. So we'll do at before class. Inside there we'll do a public void, call it before class. And inside that block we'll do a report equals new extent reports. And we'll import the class here for it. So we'll do import class. Inside there we'll do system.getProperty. We'll pass in user.dir for directory. Then we'll do plus, say what the file name is that we want to call it. So we'll do / QA underground _test _report. And then we'll plus, I'm going to actually add our get current timestamp method that we used previously, so our file name isn't the same every time. And then I'll end it with extension.html. Next we'll do test equals report.start test. And we're going to fix the report error here in a second, but I'm going to pass in what I want my report to be called. So I'll say Selenium tests. And let's go fix this error for report and test real quick. We're going to go over to base test. And at the top of base test, we're actually going to create two public statics. The first public static we're going to create is an extent reports. And we're going to call it report. And the second we're going to create is a public static extent test. And we're going to call that test. And again, we'll import the dependencies for those. You can see they were imported above. Now that we have those, we can go back to our base class, and as you can see, our errors are no longer there. Next, we're going to create our after class annotation. So we'll do at after class. Then we'll do public void, call it after class. And inside there we will do a report.inTest, and we'll pass in our test. Then we'll do a report.flush, and that is all we need to set up for our base class for right now. So let's go to base test. We simply need to modify our failed statement here. So when we previously set this up, I added our destination location inside of the file utils. For this scenario, I actually want to separate that out. So I'm going to create a file dest equals, and then I'm going to just copy from new file all the way to the end here and make that our destination, because that is where our screenshots are being saved and stored to. So we're going to paste that there. Make sure I end that line. And then I'm going to simply pass in dest where we just cut that from. And the reason I wanted to do that is because we're actually going to return a string. So I want to change this public to a string, and I actually want to return the absolute path for our destination screenshot. So I'm going to do string err fl path equals dest dot get absolute path, and that's going to return the path to the screenshot. And then I'm simply going to return err fl path. So it'll take the screenshot and then it'll return the path to where that screenshot is stored. And that's all we have to do for base test. Now we can go to our custom listener. We'll need to create one more listener here, but before we do that, we'll add this import com.relevantcodes.extentReports.log status. At the top here, we're going to create an override annotation. Then we're going to create a public void and call it onTestSuccess. And we're going to pass in an iTest result, just as we did before for the fail. And inside that block, we're going to do a system.out.println, and then we're going to just simply say passed test. This is just mainly for debug purposes. Then we're going to actually do our test reporting here. So we're going to do a test.log. And inside there, we're going to pass log status.pass, which will tell the report that it passed. And then we'll simply pass in a name that will be associated with the test. And we're going to pass in the get method.get method name. So that way it passes the test method's name. For our failure, we're going to do a little bit different. So we previously had done a screenshot on failure. Now we've updated that failed method. So we're going to do a test.log log status.fail. And then we're going to do test.add screen capture. And then we're going to add that failed test method that we updated in our base test. And this is simply so we can capture the screenshot and add it to our report. Then we'll do a plus and pass in the name that the report will return. So once again, we'll do a .get method name to return the test method's name for the failure. So I'm going to save this and run it real quick just to see if it works. And it does appear to pass fine. So the last part we want to do is add a reports directory. So we'll do new directory, call it reports. And this is really the directory where we're going to save our reports to. So we'll go back to base class. And we're actually going to modify our new report location to point to our reports directory. This is a little bit easier. Otherwise, it'll store it at the root directory of your projects folder. But I really want it to point to our reports folder. So I'm going to modify this. Simply add a /reports. I'll spell it right here. Okay, perfect. And then now it will point to our new reports directory. And I'll run it again, and we'll take a look at the report after we have completed it. So as you can see, the test is running fine. Test has completed. If we look inside of our reports folder here, you can see that one has just been generated. So if I open that up, you can see that our test search page test has passed and that it's correctly creating the report for the test that we're creating and running. Now that's all great for the pass test, but I actually want to take a look at the failed test. So I'm going to close that. I'm going to go to our page class and modify our definition for our element just to make sure that we know it will fail. And then I'm going to run it again. And at this point we know that it should fail because the definition is incorrect, so it won't be able to find the search field. And it did fail, so let's go ahead and take a look at our reports. So you can see a new report was generated based off that test run. And as you can see, our report is a little bit different here. Our test failed as expected. It returns the failed test and shows that properly. But if we go back to our results and we look at our actual test search page title, we can actually see that the screenshot was stored to our report. And that is how you create a report with screenshots on failure. And with that, we now have test report generation using the extent reports dependency within our framework. If you are not already a subscriber to our channel but enjoy the content, I'd encourage you to hit the subscribe button down below as we upload lots of testing related videos each week on a wide range of topics, from integrating AI into testing to setting up automation frameworks in multiple languages. Thanks for stopping by, and I'll see you on the next one.